The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
So, good evening, friends, and welcome on this special webinar on a very interesting topic, memory technique for CGST Act. Today, we will see on that topic. Our entire session is there. We have our good friend and speaker, CA Sachin Jain ji, who has joined. We have done in the past many sessions together as well on GST, many interesting case studies as well, case law topic on. So I'm sure this 2 days, today and tomorrow, around 5 hours, what you are investing will be very helpful in time to come. You will learn a lot with this. We are also live on LinkedIn and also on YouTube. People are watching there as well. And I would like to take this opportunity to introduce one more my good friend, CA Manshi Mehta, Mansi Nagada. She is also a passionate professional herself as a speaker, a coordinator, and doing great work with entire CFS fraternity on various platforms, whether it is a Bombay Chartered Accountant Society or WRC or ICA, any platform. We welcome you, Mansi ma'am, as well. Thank you for being here in our today's session. She is also learning, and she is humble. Despite of she's expert, she's always telling like she's learning, and she's a student of GST. With this word, we welcome you, ma'am. And now I would
Thank you,
like to
Virat
request,
sir. Thank
and
you for your kind words.
thank you. So now I would like to request CA Sachinji to take the proceeding ahead for our today's session. Over to you,
Okay, sir.
sir.
Thank you, Virat bhai, for the opportunity. So today we have a very important, very specific topic, that is memory techniques on this GST CGST Act, and we'll try to cover the complete sections of CGST Act from section number 1 till section number 138. So before moving ahead, I just want to convey with you certain one to two things about this particular session, about this particular course. Sir, make this session as interesting. So if you have any question, any query in between the session, you can ask the same. And also, we are going to cover each and every section of CGST Act with memory techniques, and these techniques are based on very simple things. Okay, there is nothing technical is going on, and in current scenario there is a big problem that whenever we are filing the returns, whenever we are handling the compliances, or whenever we are appearing in front of GST authorities, we are able to provide the fact to the authorities, we are able to feed the data in return, we are able to handle the compliances, but how we can handle the compliances, how we can handle the litigations with the reference of provision of law, this is a quite difficult task. And one of the important thing which is that there are number of sections are there in CGST and IGST, and we are not able to recall each and every section at that moment. So from that perspective, to remove this specific type of difficulty, we have come up with the memory techniques for this CGST Act. That means I am going to provide you certain memory techniques, certain number techniques, or certain specific things to recall that section at the time of your GST return filing, at the time of your handling the compliances, at the time of any litigation or appearing in front of GST authorities, so that अगर मुझे उस टाइम किसी सेक्शन की जरूरत है तो आई विल बी इन अ सिचुएशन टू रिकॉल दैट सेक्शन immediately. Okay, so this is my assurance to you, after this particular course you all will be able to recall total 138 sections of the CGST Act in a very unique way. Okay, so in this particular course I am going to provide you the memory technique for section, as well as we'll discuss the briefing about that particular section. Okay, I am going to share the briefing of that section as well. Okay, and these memory techniques are, certain memory techniques are funny as well. So, and we are also going to create the session or make the session as interesting. And if possible for you, then just do one thing: keep one pen and paper with you, so that if you will found any important point, any specific point, you can easily make the note of that point as well, so that you can use it in your future reference. So without wasting a single second, just start our discussion. So are you ready for the discussion? Just confirm me once in the chat box. Sir, excitement is required. because this is India's first course which is based on memory techniques for this GST.
So all participants are requested to post in the question tab. So there are already we can see few comments, but all are requested to
Okay,
post there. Sir, you will able to see in the question tab.
okay. So let's start our discussion on the section number 1 of CGST Act. Section number 1, as we all know, the number 1 is the commencement of counting. Whenever I am going to start a counting, I need to start the counting from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means the counting will commence from 1, and under CGST Act, the section number 1 is also related to commencement of GST. In this particular section, government has specified that the GST is applicable whole of India, including Jammu and Kashmir. Sir, in this CGST Act, we have certain sections based on practical approach, certain sections based on theoretical approach. Okay, so those sections which will be based on practical approach, I will give more time to those sections. Okay, and certain sections are based on theoretical, so we'll just go through with that section, just get the briefing of that section and move ahead. Now, section number one is the commencement of counting, and under GST, section number 1 is the commencement, extent, short, and title of the GST. So we'll recall this section number 1 as commencement. And the memory technique is number 1 is the commencement of counting, and under GST, section number 1 is related to commencement of GST. Section number 2 is related to definition, so I am going to skip this particular section. Now section number 3. Sir, in this particular course, to provide you the memory techniques, I will also use certain perceptions which is there in market. हो सकता है वो perception आपका नहीं हो, मेरा नहीं हो. I am just going to use that perception for memorize the sections. Okay, so section number 3. Number 3, there is a perception in the market that number 3 is something bad. Teen tigada kaam bigada. Number 3 is something bad, and the authority who is going to do the correct the bad things, that means when I am filing the GST return on the GST and common portal, if I am going to make any mistake, if I am going to put any wrong figure, in that case departmental authority is going to rectify the same, or departmental authority is going to issue the scrutiny related notices, assessment, audit, multiple things are there. So number 3 is something bad, and the authority who is going to correct the bad things under GST is officers. So this section number 3 is officers under GST. Number 3, perception. Number 3 is something bad. So under GST, the authorities who is going to correct the bad things is my officers. You can say officers, principal chief commissioner, principal commissioner, commissioner, additional commissioner, joint commissioner, assistant commissioner, superintendent, or any other prescribed officer. That is what is the list which is given in this particular section. Okay, so section number 1, commencement. Section number 3, perception, bad. The authority who is going to correct the bad things, that is the officers under GST. Section number 4. Section number 4, just try to link this word for is for your. Section number 4 is for your. Section number 4 is for your. Section number 4 is for your, that is appointment of the GST officers. The officers which has been prescribed in section number 3, section number 4 is for your, that is appointment of the officers. In this particular section, they have prescribed the mechanism of the appointment of the various officers which is there under GST. So section number 4 is for your appointment. So this section is related to appointment of the officers. Section number 5. Section number 5 is very high. You just need to link the word 5 with high. Section number 5 is very high. That is, powers will always be on a higher side. When I have a powers, तो मैं कहीं ऊंची स्थान पे होऊंगा, किसी highest level पे होऊंगा. So powers are always on a higher side. So section number 5 very high. That means powers of the officers. Section number 5, very high, that is powers of the officers. In that particular section, they have prescribed the powers of the various officers under GST, and in that particular section, they have mentioned that the GST authority has power to call any person, to issue the so-called notice, to demand the documentation, to physically inspect the premises of that particular person, to issue the summon to that particular person. Section 5, very high always powers. So this section is related to powers of the GST officers. Section number 6, authority fix. Just try to link this word 6 with fix. Section number 6, authority fix. So this section is going to make the authority fix. That means this section is saying, suppose any central GST department has issued any notice and conducted any audit, in that case it will be treated that the same audit has been conducted under state GST or union territory GST Act as well. That means अगर एक बार आपकी ऑडिट सेंट्रल जीएसटी डिपार्टमेंट में हो गई है तो स्टेट जीएसटी डिपार्टमेंट उस पर्टिकुलर फाइनेंशियल ईयर के लिए ऑडिट ओपन नहीं कर सकता है. Now, sir, point is that multiple time we have idea of the provision of law, but we are not able to recall the section. Just for an example, many times the taxpayer has already audited under CGST Act and state GST department is issuing the notice for the audit. At that time, we are providing the reply that sir, our audit has already been conducted under CGST Act, so we are not liable to for the audit under SGST Act. That is what is our reply. Yes, this reply is sufficient, and authority is also going to accept your reply. But the point is that if we'll take the reference of section that as per section number 6, our audit has already been conducted under Central GST Act, now we are not liable for the audit under State GST Act. एक वट पड़ेगा, एक इफेक्ट आ जाएगा कि जो रिप्लाई बनाया है वो किसी प्रोफेशनल ने बनाया है. We are getting multiple notices related to scrutiny, related to audit, and if you will check 60 to 70% of the replies are not based on the provision of law. We are preparing the reply based on the facts only, but we should include the provision of law. We should include the reference of multiple case studies for an effective reply, so that उसको लगे कि जिसने ये reply तैयार किया है, that person is also a professional and that person has an idea of the complete GST law. So now onwards, whenever we'll prepare or draft a particular reply, whenever we'll prepare or draft a particular reply, we all will prepare with the reference of sections only, because now we have the memory techniques. Section number 6, authority fix. That means एक बार अगर आपकी audit central GST में हो गई, state GST cannot open your case. The same reference is made in this specific section. Section number 7, most important section of the CGST Act, you can say, and this is the base of applicability of GST. Okay, multiple times we are saying that on this particular type of supply GST is applicable or not applicable, or what will be the rate which is applicable, or whether supply is a mixed supply or composite supply, or what will be the time of supply, what will be the place of supply. But the question is that first we need to decide that this activity or transaction is a supply or not, and that is what is the work of the professional who is going to provide the consultancy related to implementation of GST. As a professional, as a chartered accountant, I am not merely liable for the filing of returns or handling the compliances. I should be in a situation to provide the consultancy related to implementation of GST, related to litigation consultancy, related to the growth oriented consultancy. So for that purpose, we need to have the idea of basic sections of the CGST Act or IGST Act. Section number 7, memory technique is as for 7, as for supply. As for 7, as for supply. The memory technique for section number 7 is as for 7, as for supply, and government has given the definition of term supply as supply includes. Sir, there is importance of each and every word. Supply includes. They have not used the word supply means. They have used the word supply includes. Why? Because government wants a wider definition. If they want to add something, they can easily do the same through this word supply includes. और अगर यहीं पर definition होती supply means in such a scenario, क्या हो जाता, वो सप्लाई का जो स्कोप है वो बहुत ही लिमिटेड हो जाता। सर थोड़ी थोड़ी हिंदी चलेगी ना? आर यू एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड द हिंदी लैंग्वेज एज वेल? I can use certain examples in Hindi as well. Okay. I think my voice is audible and voice is okay. Praveshji, I suppose there is certain issue at your end. Please confirm someone else in the chat box that my voice is completely audible. Now I suppose voice is audible and completely okay. So supply includes, they have used the word supply includes sale, exchange, barter, transfer, lease, rental, disposal or agreed to be disposal for a consideration in the course or furtherance of business. That means I just need to first check all the activities or transactions of a business, and based on the analysis of the activities or transactions of a business, I need to decide that these activities or transactions are fall under the definition of sale, exchange, barter, transfer, lease, rental, disposal or agreed to be disposal. And if the same is fall under this particular definition, then I need to check that these transactions are for a consideration or in the course or furtherance of business. Only then the activity or transaction will qualify the definition of supply, and then only the question of applicability of GST will arises. Okay, so section 7 S for 7 S for supply, supply includes, and government has given certain schedules as well. Okay, I am just going to brief you section 7 because this is very important section from practical perspective, so I am taking this section in a detailed as well. Now they have given the schedule number 1. In that particular schedule they have given that activities or transactions which is mentioned in this particular schedule, if for consideration or not for consideration, will treat it as supply. That means all the activities or transactions which is mentioned in schedule number 1, if not for consideration, then also the same will be treated as supply. And they have mentioned the business transfer of business assets or disposal of business assets, that is permanent transfer or disposal of business assets. Second item, transactions between distinct person and related party, transactions between principal and agent, import of services in the course or furtherance of business. They have also mentioned that the activity or transaction now classify as supply. Now the question is that whether that supply will be treated as supply of goods or supply of services. And for that purpose, they have given a detailed schedule, schedule number 2. And they have included multiple activities in that. And they have defined that this is my supply of service, this is my supply of goods. But I have one golden principle for that as well. Whenever there will be a transfer of title, the same will be treated as supply of goods, or whenever there will be a transfer of right to use, that moment there will be supply of services. So we just need to memorize or remember this key point, that whenever there will be a right to use transfer, supply of services, whenever there will be a transfer title transfer, the same will be treated as supply of goods. Okay, and they have also given one negative list, schedule number 3, neither supply of goods nor supply of services. And in this specific section they have also mentioned and prescribed, sir, they have also mentioned and prescribed that if there will be any import of services for a consideration, whether in the course or furtherance of business or not in the course or furtherance of business, will treat it as सप्लाई. दैट मीन्स उन्होंने वो जो दो कंडीशन है फॉर अ कंसिडरेशन इन द कोर्स और फर्दरेंस ऑफ बिजनेस, उसके लिए दो एक्सेप्शन दे दिए. फर्स्ट एक्सेप्शन इज शेड्यूल नंबर 1 एंड सेकंड एक्सेप्शन इज इंपोर्ट ऑफ सर्विसेज. Is that okay? Schedule section number 7 and all the schedules we have done. The memory technique for section number 7, S for 7, S for supply, supply includes. Next section, important section. You have already decided that this particular activity or transaction is a supply. Now section number 8, sir, just look on the number 8. Just look on the number 8. This number is 8 is a mixture of double zero, one zero and second zero. This 8 is mixture of double zero. Just link this word mixture with the mixed and composite supply. So this section is related to mixed and composite supply. Section number 8. Number 8 is a mixture of double zero. So this section is related to mixed and composite supply. Sir, मैं इन sections को बार बार repeat भी करूंगा so that all these sections will automatically stored in your brain in these next 5 hours. Okay. जस्ट बी देयर. आपको कोई लोड लेने की जरूरत नहीं है. आपको ऐसा नहीं सोचना है कि मुझे आज का आज मेमोराइज करना है. जस्ट गिव मी 5 hours. These sections will automatically be there in your brain. Feel free, if you don't want to keep any pen and paper with you, ignore it. Just sit in front of the mobile or in front of your laptop and just hear, listen the things which I am going to share with you. Section number 8. Number 8 is a mixture of double zero. So this section is related to mixed and composite supply. When a particular activity or transaction qualify the definition of supply, then the first thing which we need to define that this supply is my mixed supply or composite supply. And sir, this is the most crucial task you can say. If we are merely filing the returns or handling the compliances, then हो सकता है our client is sending the data to us, we are fitting the data in our software and filing the returns. Okay, but whenever we are go through with multiple type of activities or transactions, at that time we'll found that we should analyze the difference between the mixed and composite supply. The analysis of mixed and composite supply, this is a very specific area for the consultancy as well. So just try to differentiate the composite and mixed supply. Sir, composite supply, two or more supplies. One is principal supply, another is ancillary supply. So for composite supply, always there will be a two or more supply. Always there will be a two or more supplies. One will be principal supply, another will be ancillary supply, and both these supplies are naturally bundled. Sir, why I am saying these are the naturally bundled? How we can say that this particular supply is naturally bundled? Based on the market perception, based on the majority of players, based on the nature of that particular product. If the same is naturally bundled, in that case that supply will be called as composite supply, and rate of GST will be applicable at the rate of principal supply. This is the most important thing which we need to keep in our mind. Composite supply, two or more supply, one is principal, another is ancillary, both are naturally bundled. Then the rate of GST applicable as per the rate which is applicable on the principal supply. But in case of mixed supply, two or more supplies are there, but they are not naturally bundled. And the government has given the definition that a specific supply which not qualify the definition of composite supply, the same will be treated as mixed supply in case the rate of GST will be applicable at the highest rate. दो प्रोडक्ट है, on one product the rate of GST applicable at the rate of 18%, on another product the rate of GST applicable at the rate of 28%. In such a scenario, in case of mixed supply, the rate of GST will be applicable at the rate of 18%. Now the most important thing which I want to share with you, that sir in case of mixed and composite supply, suppose आपके दिमाग में एक चीज चल रही होगी, what will be the effect of the wrong determination? Suppose there is one specific composite supply, but wrongly if you will treat that particular supply as a mixed supply. In such a scenario, suppose principal product rate GST is 18%, but you have treated that particular supply as a composite supply. Due to that you have paid excess tax to the government 28%. In that case, loss to your client. और उसको पता चल गया कि सचिन ने मेरा ऐसा गलत काम करवाया है, छोड़ के चला जाएगा. Just take the reverse situation. Suppose a particular supply which is mixed supply and the highest rate of GST is 28%, but due to the less knowledge of GST provisions, I have suggested that this is a composite supply. and you just need to pay the GST at the rate of principal product, so 18%. In future, governmental authority will come with the departmental audit or scrutiny, and they have issued the notice that during this particular period you have paid the GST on this specific type of supply at the rate of 18% only, but this is a mixed supply and you have to pay tax at the rate of 28%. They have raised the demand for the balance amount with interest and with penalty. Client will directly come to me and say that Mr. Sachin, you have filed our return, you have advised us. वो तो जाएगा ही जाएगा, 10 client और लेकर के जाएगा. So we just need to have the idea of section number 8. Number 8 is a mixture of 00. So this section is related to mixed and composite supply. How we are going to bifurcate? Just for an example, in case of air condition, AC and installation both are composite supply. So whatever will be the rate of GST applicable in case of AC, the same will be applicable on the whole product. But in case of facial and in case of hair wash, suppose the rate of GST is different, in that case highest rate will be applicable in case the taxpayer is selling with bunch. That is what is the difference between the composite and mixed supply. Sir, composite and mixed supply is okay for everyone? Next section. Section number 9. Just try to link word 9. Section number 9, imposing fine. 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 So this section is related to fine? No, not at all. This section is saying, as we all know, that जब से GST applicable हुआ है, multiple changes are there, multiple amendments are there, multiple notification, multiple circulars, or multiple sections. This is not less than fine. So this section is saying, section number 9, imposing fine. This section is a charging section of GST. इस सेक्शन की वजह से ही GST यहां पर है. The complete GST law is due to this specific section only. Hence, we have created the memory technique that this section is not less than fine. So section 9, imposing fine, that is charging section under GST. Those who are watching this course through the YouTube platform or through the LinkedIn platform, I request, if you have any query, you can put the same in the chat box. Post session, I will take your query and I will definitely respond to your queries. And also, you are joining through LinkedIn or YouTube, make the session interactive at that platform as well. Just put, yes, we are getting the point, we are enjoying, we are getting the concepts, you can put it in the chat box. Section 9, imposing fine, that is charging section. And due to this specific section, GST law is there. What is mentioned in this specific section? So government has mentioned that section number 9, CGST Act or intra-state supply. So CGST will be applicable on all intra-state supply. Highest rate is 20% except alcoholic liquor for human consumption. So through that particular mechanism, they have defined the applicability of GST. CGST will be applicable on all intra-state supply. Highest rate is 20% and except alcoholic liquor for human consumption. And they have also mentioned that, sir, GST will be applicable on a future date on the following supplies, that is 5 petroleum product, crude oil, motor spirit, natural gas. These are the 5 products on which GST will be applicable on a future date. And in this particular section, when they have defined the charging section, they have defined the mechanism of payment of GST under 2 heads. One is forward charge, another is reverse charge. One is forward charge, another is reverse charge. And in this particular section, section number 9, they have clearly mentioned that we are providing a list of goods and services if the buyer is going to buy these type of goods or taking the services which is mentioned in this specific section, in such a scenario that recipient has to make the payment of taxes under reverse charge mechanism. Normally supplier is liable to make the payment of tax, but they have introduced the liability on recipient as well on the following type of supplies. And they have also introduced the concept of e-commerce operator in this particular section and the applicability of GST of e-commerce operator. That means in this particular section or through this particular section they have completely imposed the GST. So this section, section number 9, imposing fine, that is charging section under GST. Next, section number 10. Sir, just look on the number 10. Just look on the number 10. Number 10 includes zero. Number 10 includes zero. That means zero eligibility. Zero eligibility to claim ITC. Zero eligibility to claim ITC. And as we all know, under GST, the zero eligibility to claim the ITC in case of composition scheme. So this section number 10 is related to composition scheme under GST. This section is related to composition scheme under GST because we have total two schemes. One is regular, another is composition. In case of regular, the taxpayer is paying the tax at a normal rate and claiming the input tax credit. But in case of composition, the taxpayer is paying the tax at a concessional rate and not eligible to claim the input tax credit. If the turnover of the taxpayer is up to 1.5 crore rupees, in that case the taxpayer can opt for the composition scheme. But if the taxpayer is exclusively involved in case of services, then the limit is 50 lakh rupees. The rate of GST in case of services applicable at the rate of 6%. In case of goods, the rate of GST is 1% in case of composition scheme. So the memory technique is section number 10. Number 10 includes zero, that is zero eligibility to claim the input tax credit, and in case of composition scheme, zero eligibility. So this section number 10 is related to composition scheme. Let's recap the 10 sections. Section number 1. Number 1 is the commencement of counting, and under GST section number 1 is related to commencement. Section number 3, perception. Number 3 is something bad. So the authority who is going to correct the bad things under GST, that is officers under GST. Section number 4 is for your, that is appointment of the officers. Section number 5, very high, that is powers of the officers. Section number 6, authority fixed. Section number 7, S4 supply. Section number 8, number 8 is a mixture of 00. So this section is related to mixed and composite supply. Section number 9, imposing fine, that is charging section under GST. Section number 10 includes zero, that is zero eligibility to claim the input tax credit. So this section is related to composition scheme. Sir, once confirm me in the chat box all the 10 sections. All the 10 sections are okay for everyone. Just confirm me once in the chat box. Are you enjoying the session? Deepak ji, I suppose there is certain issue at your end. Are you enjoying the sections? Everything is fine for everyone. YouTube also you can comment in the chat box. Okay, let's start our discussion on the further sections. The recorded session will be available on the YouTube platform. You can check on the YouTube platform of Connect Easy so that you can get the recordings as well. Let's start our discussion on section number 11. Thank you for your comments in the chat box. बस इसी तरह से आपको इंटरेक्शन करना है. You need to make this session interesting and interactive. Okay, let's start our discussion on the section number 11. E for 11, E for exemption. E for 11, E for exemption. So this section is related to exemptions under GST. In this particular section, they have prescribed or they have mentioned that the government has power on the recommendation of council to issue or to exempt a particular goods or services by the notification or through the notification. हम लोग बोलते हैं आज गवर्नमेंट ने ये गुड्स एग्जेम्प्ट कर दिया, आज ये सर्विस एग्जेम्प्ट कर दी. सो द पावर टू एग्जेम्प्ट द गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज इज ओनली थ्रू द नोटिफिकेशन, बट द पावर इज कमिंग थ्रू द सेक्शन नंबर 11. सेक्शन नंबर 11, E for 11, E for exemption. Now onwards will always be in way that the exemption is through notification, but the power to issue the notification is through section number 11, E for 11, E for exemption. Section number 12. Sir, now section number 12, 13 and 14 हमको एक साथ में याद करनी पड़ेगी. We just need to memorize all these three sections in a one shot. Okay, so that it will be useful for us. First we'll try to take the memory techniques. Okay, then after if you have any query related to different sections, we'll definitely take, okay, related to the sub part of the sections. But first we'll try to understand the main concept of the section. Okay, although I am going to brief you the things, the same will be covered in that, but if any subsection is there, if you require a specific discussion, we'll definitely discuss. Okay, but at the end, so our session will be in a smooth way. Now section number 12, 13 and 14 we are going to discuss with each other. Section number 12, memory technique is only for 12. You just need to link 13 and 14 with 12. Section number 12, number 12 is an indication of time. 12 बज गए. Number 12 is a indication of time. 12 बज गए. So this section number 12 is related to time of supply. Section number 12 is related to time of supply. Number 12 is an indication of time. 12 बज गए. So this section is related to time of supply. Now whenever I am going to say that we need to decide the time of supply, we should decide the time of supply in case of supply of goods or supply of services. Different provisions are there, because there may be chances that the taxpayer is dealing in the goods or services, so we need to decide the time of supply for both the scenarios. So time of supply in case of supply of goods or supply of services. Time of supply in case of supply of goods, supply of services. कई बार क्या होता है, हम लोग सोचते हैं यार ठीक है ना, if I want to claim the input tax credit, I am going to claim the input tax credit with reference to GSTR 2B. I need to declare the outward supply. I am declaring the outward supply from the GST records or the records which has been submitted by my client, or I just need to ensure that the 3B and 1 should be reconciled, so everything is perfect. Sir, nowadays departmental authority is only focusing on the reconciliations, but the point is that in future the scenario will be completely different. Whenever they will start issuing notices on the ground of time of supply, value of supply, place of supply, offenses, refunds, or the analysis of term supply, in that case we all will be in a very difficult situation, because हमने भी केवल काम किस पे किया है, reconciliations पे. Now we just need to focus on the provision of law as well. This time of supply plays a very important, very crucial role. Now time of supply, supply of goods, section number 12, supply of services, section number 13. Now in case of supply of goods, अभी हमने discuss किया था, we are able to make the supply under two scenarios. One is forward charge, another is reverse charge. So we need to decide the time of supply in case of supply of goods under forward charge or under reverse charge. In case of supply of services, we need to decide under forward charge or under reverse charge. Okay, now Under forward charge, under reverse charge. Under forward charge, in case of supply of goods, the time of supply will be invoice date. जब भी आप लोग invoice बनाओगे, accordingly you need to show that invoice in the return of GSTR1 and accordingly make the payment in GSTR3P. Under reverse charge mechanism, the time of supply will be receipt of the goods or payment entry or bank account debited or 30 days from invoice, whichever is earlier, that will be treated as time of supply. I am briefly going to explain you the crux of section, okay, because we have just 5 hours to explain the complete GST law in a very analytical way, requirement of around 60 hours, okay. So let's briefly discuss the section, but I will try to give you the complete idea of section as well. But memory technique, yes, you all will be in a situation to recall each and every section. So supply of goods, forward charge, invoice date will be time of supply. In case of reverse charge, the time of supply will be receipt of goods or payment entry or bank debit or 30 days from issue of invoice, whichever is earlier, that will be treated as time of supply. In case of supply of services under forward charge, that means normal supply, as I am providing the consultancy services, okay. So what will be the time of supply? So invoice or payment, whichever is earlier, you can say I or P, whichever is earlier, that will be treated as my time of supply. As we all know that if there will be any advance on account of supply of service, GST will be applicable on account of that advance. But in case of goods, or if there will be any advance, no GST will be applicable on advances. So hence, in case of supply of services under forward charge, the time of supply is I or P, that is invoice or payment, whichever is earlier. Next, in case of reverse charge mechanism, supply of service, the time of supply will be payment or debit entry from bank or 60 days from issue of invoice, whichever is earlier, that will be treated as time of supply. And section number 14, section number 14 is related to change in rate of tax. That is time of supply in case of change in rate of tax, whenever the supply has been made and after that the rate has been changed. In such a scenario, what will be the time of supply? The same has been given through this section number 14. So we just need to recall all these three sections with each other. Section number 12, 12 is an indication of time. So this section is related to time of supply. Section number 13, time of supply. Section number 14, time of supply, but various bifurcation are there. In case of supply of goods, 12 is there. In case of supply of services, 13 is there. In case of change in rate of tax, time of supply, section number 14 is there. Next section, most important, most crucial section under GST. Section number 15. Memory technique is 1 plus 5 is equal to 6, value fix. 1 plus 5 is equal to 6, value fix. So this section is related to valuation under GST. So this section is related to valuation under GST. Section number 15, 1 plus 5 is equal to 6, value fix. So this section is related to valuation under GST. This section is saying that your transaction value will be taxable value if the buyer and supplier are not the related party and price is the sole consideration. Suppose I am visiting to the D-Mart and I am buying something from that D-Mart. In that case, I and D-Mart not a related party, and whatever amount I am paying, that is the final consideration, sole consideration. So in that case, the transaction value will be taxable value. And in this particular section, government has also specified that if there will be any additional charges, loading, unloading charges, transportation charges, any type of charges, that will also be included for the calculation of the value. And if price is not the sole consideration and buyer and supplier are not the related party, in that case we need to take the reference of various valuation rules. Rule 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 31A. Very soon we are coming with a session based on memory technique for the rules as well. We have already developed. Very soon we are coming with a session for rules, so no requirement to memorize a single rule. Everything will be there in your brain. So section number 15, 1 plus 5 is equal to 6, value fix. So this section is related to valuation under GST. Next section we can say heart of GST. Next section is the heart of GST, the most important section of CGST Act. Sir, YouTube, are you enjoying the session? LinkedIn, you all are getting the points. Section number 16, sir, the memory technique for section number 16 is in Hindi language. Okay, so first we'll try to understand the concept of section number 16, then I will share with you the memory technique. This section is related to input tax credit. Okay, for claiming the input tax credit I need to check multiple things. आप कह सकते हो इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट क्लेम करने के लिए मुझे अग्नि परीक्षा से होकर के गुजरना पड़ता है, बिना उसके मैं इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट क्लेम नहीं कर पाता, बिना उसके मैं इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट क्लेम नहीं कर पाता हूं. बिकॉज इफ आई वांट टू क्लेम द इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट, फर्स्ट आई नीड टू चेक दैट दैट पर्टिकुलर गुड्स और सर्विसेज इज यूज्ड इन द कोर्स और फर्दरेंस ऑफ बिजनेस. Then I need to ensure that various condition of section 16 subsection 2, that is I have received the goods, I have the invoices, the same is reflected in GSTR to be counterparty has filed the return, paid the taxes, or I need to check that I had made the payment to the supplier within 180 days, or I need to check the reversal as per rule number 42 43, और मुझे ये भी देखना है कहीं वो क्रेडिट ब्लॉक तो नहीं है section 17 subsection 5 में. So multiple restrictions, multiple filters are there. मुझे आईटीसी कब मिलेगी? जब वो एकदम सच्ची हो. और 16 को हिंदी में बोलते हैं 16. सो द मेमोरी टेक्निक फॉर सेक्शन नंबर 16 इज 16 आने सच तभी मिलेगी आईटीसी फटाफट. सो द मेमोरी टेक्निक फॉर सेक्शन नंबर 16 आईटीसी, द मेमोरी टेक्निक इज 16 आने सच तभी मिलेगी आईटीसी फटाफट. मैं इंग्लिश में लिख देता हूं, मिलेगी आईटीसी फटाफट. 16 आने सच तभी मिलेगी आईटीसी फटाफट. सो दिस सेक्शन नंबर 16 16 इज रिलेटेड टू इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट. 16 आने सच तभी मिलेगी आईटीसी फटाफट. एंड इन दिस पर्टिकुलर सेक्शन दे हैव मेंशन दैट इफ यू आर यूजिंग एनी गुड्स और सर्विसेज इन द कोर्स और फर्दरेंस ऑफ बिजनेस यू विल बी एलिजिबल to claim the input tax credit. But point is that you need to satisfy various conditions of section 16 subsection 2. Also you need to make the payment to the supplier within 180 days, or if you want to change anything related to your input tax credit related to a particular financial year, in that case the maximum timeline is 30th November of subsequent financial year, or the filing date of annual return for the relevant financial year, whichever is earlier. That is what is my section number 16. 16 आने सच तभी मिलेगी आईटीसी फटाफट. सेक्शन नंबर 17 17 खतरा. समझ आ गया होगा आपको कितने इजीली हम लोगों ने मेमोरी टेक्निक बनाई है. ओके, लगता है when I am taking the session, this is my third batch on memory technique. Okay, this is my third session, third course on memory technique. They are saying, sir, these are very easy. But the point is that to create these memory techniques, we have given around 6 months. We have analyzed each and every section, then found the easy technique to recall at every moment of time. So that is what is the purpose. Now, section number 17, 17 is related to something danger. Section number 17, 17 is related to something danger. You can say satra khatra. Whenever there will be a restriction on input tax credit, whenever there will be a restriction on input tax credit, that will be my section number 17 danger zone. And this section is related to restrictions on ITC, or you can say apportionment of input tax credit. Section number 17 17 खतरा. 17 danger zone, that is restrictions on input tax credit. In this particular section the government has specified, in this particular section the government has specified that, sir, you will not be eligible to claim the input tax credit if you are going to use that particular inward supply for your personal use or for your exempted supply, because government is saying you will be eligible to claim the input tax credit whenever you will pay the output tax to the government. और अगर आप गवर्नमेंट को आउटपुट टैक्स नहीं पे कर रहे हो, इन दैट सिचुएशन यू विल नॉट बी एलिजिबल टू क्लेम द इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट. So in this particular section, section number 17, danger खतरा, that is restriction on ITC, they have clearly mentioned that अगर आप कोई goods और services personal use के लिए लेते हो आपको ITC नहीं मिलेगी. Or they have mentioned that if you are using that particular goods or services for manufacturing of the exempted product, we are not supposed to give you the ITC. ऑल्सो उन्होंने बोला कोई ऐसी इनवर्ट सप्लाई है जो आप यूज कर रहे हो फॉर बिजनेस पर्पस एज वेल एज फॉर पर्सनल पर्पस, इन दैट केस यू विल बी एलिजिबल फॉर द पार्शियल इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट. And in this particular section they have specified a particular list of goods and services that in this particular scenario you will not be eligible to claim the input tax credit, that is blocked credit. Motor vehicles, aircraft, vessels, related insurance, related repair and maintenance, ITC is not allowed it because blocked under section 17 subsection 5. And if that motor vehicle, vessel, aircraft is used for the training purposes, for further supply, for transportation of passenger and goods, in such a scenario you will be eligible to take the input tax credit. Also they have mentioned food and beverages, beauty treatment related ITC is also not allowed. Also related to works contract ITC is not allowed. सर आपको याद रहेगा प्लांट एंड मशीनरी और प्लांट और मशीनरी. May I explain this specific judgment safari retreat and the specific thing made by madam, that is honorable our finance minister Nirmala Sitharaman or the GST council? Can we discuss plant or machinery or plant and machinery? Are you interested? Your interest is very much required, sir. Without interest I am just going to share the memory technique and plant or machinery, plant and machinery. Sir, they have used the term plant or machinery in section number 17 subsection 5. They have used the word plant or machinery. Okay, due to that our honorable Supreme Court has given a very specific decision. Our honorable Supreme Court has given a very specific decision that, sir, in case of building and that building which is going to provide only for the rental purposes, in that case rental income will be there. In that case rental income will be there on that building. So in such a scenario, when that particular plant and machinery or when that particular building is only for that building rental purposes and rental income will be there, in that particular scenario the honorable Supreme Court has analyzed the definition. Honorable Supreme Court has analyzed the definition of plant or machinery, or they found there is no any definition is given in the CGST Act about the definition of plant or machinery. तो उन्होंने ये सोचा फॉर एलिजिबिलिटी ऑफ इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट या तो प्लांट होना चाहिए या फिर मशीनरी होना चाहिए. तो उन्होंने बोला यस दिस बिल्डिंग इज नॉट अ मशीनरी, बट द पॉइंट इज दैट through this particular building they are getting the revenue in future and they are ready to pay the output tax on that income, so this should be treated as plant, so ITC should be allowed. Based on that specific thing they have given their decision. Now ये बात GST काउंसिल को हजम नहीं हुई, तो 55th GST काउंसिल में उन्होंने बोला कि सर यहां पर ये जो प्लांट और मशीनरी वर्ड यूज हुआ है सेक्शन 17 सबसेक्शन 5 में, दिस वर्ड इज ड्यू टू मिस्टेक ओनली, but the actual word is plant and machinery, and they have given a retrospective amendment or retrospective effect to that particular word plant and machinery. Now ITC is not allowed on your construction of building for the rental purposes because दोनों conditions satisfy होनी चाहिए plant and machinery. So वो building machinery की definition में नहीं आएगी, so ITC not allowed. Sir, are you able to link the importance, merely the importance of word or and due to that this specific scenario is there. So in case of Safari retreat, the judgment has been pronounced by Honorable Supreme Court, but now government has given the retrospective effect of the word plant and machinery. So the purpose is to just provide you an idea that what will be the importance of the analytics of the words under GST. Next, Satra Khatra Danger Zone Restriction on ITC. Next section. Section number 80. Section number 18. Just try to interlink the word 18 making happy. Section 18 making happy. This section is going to provide you certain information which is make you happy. Section number 18 making happy. Section number 18 making happy. You just need to pick the word happy from this specific. So this section is going to provide you certain good and exciting information, that is eligibility to claim the input tax credit in special circumstances. Special circumstances bole to in this particular section they have prescribed that suppose a particular taxpayer who is liable to take the GST registration, suppose my turnover was below 20 lakh rupees as on 20th of April 2024, as on 20th April 2024 my turnover crosses the specified limit. Okay, so I have applied for the GST registration on 24th of April, and honorable GST department has allotted me the GSTN as on 15th of May. In such a scenario, they are saying that Mr. Sachin, when you were not registered under GST, at that moment also you have bought certain goods from the market, and there may be chances certain stock which is available with you, but now when you will sell this particular product, at that time you will charge GST because now you are registered under GST. So you need to pay the output tax. So we are allowing you for the input tax credit on your input held on stock as on the date of liability. This is the very specific information and a happy news for me. Section 18 making happy. Also they have mentioned, suppose earlier your product was exempted, now your product is taxable through the notification. So whatever will be the input goods which is available with you in your stock as on the date of liability, you will be eligible to claim the input tax credit. Also they have mentioned that Mr. Sachin, suppose earlier you was registered under composition scheme, but now you are registered under regular scheme. So in such a scenario, whatever will be the input goods which is available in your stock as on the date of liability, now you are eligible to claim the input tax credit. So all these information is very interesting for me. So section 18 making happy. So this section is related to happy situations under GST. Section number 19. Sir, there is one perception. अगर मैं कोई काम करूंगा तो मैं 21 करूंगा, मतलब मैं परफेक्ट करूंगा. इफ आई विल परफॉर्म एनी एक्ट, इन दैट केस आई विल डू दैट वर्क विद 100% एफिशिएंसी. मैं कुछ काम करूंगा वो 21 करूंगा, दूसरा कोई करेगा वो 19 करेगा. If someone else will perform that particular type of task, that person will perform with less efficiency. So दूसरा करेगा वो 19 करेगा, दूसरा करेगा वो 19 करेगा, मैं करूंगा वो 21 करूंगा, दूसरा करेगा वो 19 करेगा. दैट इज वर्क परफॉर्म बाय अदर्स. Work performed by others, that is job worker. This section is related to job worker under GST. Section number 19. मैं कोई काम करूंगा 21 करूंगा, दूसरा कोई काम करेगा 19 करेगा. That means the work performed by others, that is job worker. In this particular section they have specifically mentioned the mechanism of job work, and in this particular section they have mentioned that if the principal is going to take the services of any job worker and if the job worker is unregistered, in such a scenario the address of the job worker should be added as an additional place of business. They have also mentioned that if the principal is going to supply any goods to the job worker or transfer any goods to the job worker for the purpose of job work, if the same within 1 year not bring back, then in that situation the same should be treated as supply. And if the principal has supplied or transfer any capital goods to the place of job worker, and if the same has not been bring back within 3 years, in that case it will be treated as supply. The same thing is mentioned in section number 19. And the memory technique is, मैं कुछ करूंगा 21 करूंगा, दूसरा कोई काम करेगा 19 करेगा. That means work performed by others, that is job worker. Section number 20. Just link this word 2020. Whenever you will see 2020, that is distribution. Distribution of ITC, that is input service distributor. So this section number 20, 2020, that is distribution of input tax credit. Who is going to distribute the input tax credit? Input service distributor. What do you mean by this input service distributor? Just take one example. Suppose there is one head office at Jodhpur, Rajasthan, and that head office has multiple branches. One is at Maharashtra, another one is at Gujarat, third one is at Tamil Nadu. So in such a scenario, suppose head office has taken one service on behalf of the whole as a unit. In such a scenario, that service provider is going to prepare one invoice with the name of head office, but this services is utilized by all the branches as well. So the input tax credit should be transferred to all the branches. So for that purpose, for the distribution of input tax credit, that head office has to take a registration as a input service distributor, and after that that person can distribute the input tax credit. और अगर उस input service distributor ने कुछ excess ITC distribute कर दी, in that case under section number 21 they have given that the input service distributor can issue the debit note and reduce the excess distributed ITC. Section 2020, that is distribution of input tax credit by input service distributor. So this section is related to input service distributor. Sir, are you enjoying the session? Heavy तो कुछ नहीं हो रहा है ना? Everything is fine for you? Everything is fine for you? Just comment me once in the chat box. Okay, let's start our discussion on the next section, section number 22. आप लोगों को कमेंट पढ़ता हूं ना तो एनर्जी आ जाती है, उससे क्या है, द डिस्कशन विल बी मोर हेल्दी एंड मोर बी इंसाइटफुल. दैट इज व्हाट इज द पर्पस. So now thank you for your comments in the chat box, and really your comments appreciates me a lot. So let's start our discussion on next section without any break, because content in very huge. We need to cover 138 sections, but यकीन मानिए बहुत आसानी से हम इन sections को cover कर लेंगे, हंसते हंसते हम इन sections को cover कर लेंगे. Section 138. Now 22. Section 22. Just try to check TWE and 22. Section 22. As we all know that for taking the GST registration, if my turnover crosses the limit of 20 lakh, in that scenario I need to take the GST registration. If my turnover crosses the limit of 20 lakh, in that case I need to take the GST registration. So 20. Here 20 is there, you just need to highlight the word 20. 20 is the limit to take the GST registration, and under section number 22 government has prescribed GST registration. So this section number 22 is related to GST registration. This section is related to GST registration. Section 22(20) is the limit to take the GST registration. So this section is related to GST registration, and in this particular section government has specified that if the turnover of that person exceeds 20 lakh rupees, normally in that case GST registration is required, but for 8 specific states the limit is 10 lakh rupees. But if the person is exclusively dealing in the goods, in that case the limit to take the GST registration is 40 lakh rupees. Section 22(20) is the limit to take the GST registration. So this section number 22 is related to registration under GST. Section number 23. Section number 23, just try to link this word 3, free. Section 23, free, that means no need to take the GST registration. Under this specific section, government has specified that if you are dealing in these particular type of goods, in such a scenario there will be no requirement to take the GST registration. Section 23, free, no need to take GST registration. First condition, that if you are exclusively dealing in the exempted products, in such a scenario no requirement to take the GST registration. And second, that is agriculturalist. For agriculturalist, no requirement to take the GST registration. Whatever will be your turnover, no need to take GST registration. Section 23, free, no need to take GST registration. Next section, section 24. Section 24, just try to link this word, for sure. Section 24, sure, that means you need to take the GST registration, whatever will be your turnover. Whether your turnover is 5 lakh rupees, 10 lakh rupees, you need to take the GST registration. Section 23, free, no need to take GST registration. Section 24, sure, you need to take the GST registration. Conditions: if you are involved in the interstate supply, if you are a casual taxable person, if you are a non-resident taxable person, if you are an agent, that is C&F agent who is holding the stock on behalf of the principal, if in this scenario you need to take the GST registration, there is requirement to take the GST registration. So your section number 24, sure, that means mandatory condition to take the GST registration, not based on your turnover. Section 25, just try to link this word 25, registration process defined. This section is going to provide you the process of registration. Okay, sir, these sections are merely based on theoretical approach, and now after this particular course, whenever you will directly go and check the bare act of the CGST Act, or you will find that each and every section is very easy for you because you know the content of that particular section. वरना दिक्कत क्या होती है, मैं डायरेक्ट अगर bare act उठा लूं तो it will be a quite difficult thing for me to understand that particular section. Okay, so now it's very easy. आज जिन जिन लोगों ने ज्वाइन किया है, I request कल के सेशन में, tomorrow will cover around 70 sections. So आपके जो भी प्रोफेशनल फ्रेंड्स है, अदर फ्रेंड्स है, try to invite them also for this specific session. Okay. Section 25, registration process defined. In this particular section, government has defined the registration process. जो हम आप और हम डेली GST पोर्टल पे देखते हैं, वो कहां से आ रहा है? Everything is coming from the sections only, from the law only. So the same is from section number 25, registration process defined, and in that particular section they have specified that, sir, for taking the GST number, first you need to apply on GST and common portal. Then after TRN will be generated. Then after you need to provide the documentation related to principal place of business, related to the additional place of business, related to other documentation. And after providing these type of documentation, government is going to generate the ARN number after Aadhaar authentication. Then after your case should be assigned to them jurisdictional authority. Then after they may decide for the physical verification, they may issue the show cause notice. After getting the proper response and proper reply, they will approve your GST registration application. That is what is the process of GST registration. That is what is the process of GST registration. Next section, section number 26. Section number 26, just try to link this word 26. Section 26, registration fix. Section 26, registration fix. This section talks about the deemed approval of your registration. After filing the registration application, if departmental authority is not going to approve your registration application or not issue the show cause notice within a specified timeline, in that case your registration will be treated as deemed approved. कई बार क्या होता है, वो 30 डेज की टाइमलाइन निकल जाती है और डिपार्टमेंटल अथॉरिटी उसको नहीं देखता है, and after that they are going to issue the show cause notice and we are providing the reply. Why direct provide the reply that sir timeline has already been lapsed, my registration has approved, deemed approved. And multiple time कई सारे लोगों की मैंने रिट पिटिशन पढ़ी है, at the time of filing the writ petition also they are not taking the reference of sections. So at that time we need to take the reference of section 26 registration fix that my registration is deemed approved. मुझे अब किसी शो कॉज नोटिस की रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है. कई बार होता क्या है, whenever we are receiving the notice, सबसे पहला तो हम सबसे नीचे देखते हैं अथॉरिटी कौन है, उसका कोई मिलने वाला मिल सकता है क्या. दैट इज व्हाट इज द प्रैक्टिकल चीज शेयर कर रहा हूं, आपस के लोग बैठे हैं, प्रोफेशनल्स बैठे हैं, इसलिए पहले वो देखते हैं. Then after we are going to develop the linkage with that particular authority. और हम लोग मैटर पढ़ते हैं, मैटर क्या है sir, first we need to check that the notice which has been issued by the departmental authority is authorized or not, is correct or not. Then after we need to verify that under which section this notice has been issued. Then after we need to find out the cross sections and the cross case studies. That is what is the mechanism. Drafting technique बाद में सीखनी है. First we need to learn that how we can read a particular notice properly. अगर वो आ गया, drafting automatically आ जाएगी. If you will check the YouTube or the videos, you will found thousands of videos on the drafting techniques, but you will found very less number of videos on the reading techniques of a particular notice or of a particular order. अभी बोल दिया जाए ना कि हाई कोर्ट ने कोई ऑर्डर दिया है, 40 पेज का ऑर्डर मुझे पढ़ना है, it will be quite difficult to understand the terms. Why? Because reading skills are required, sir, and that will be a very great helpful in our day-to-day practices. Now let's start our discussion on the further section, वरना मेरी टेक्निक रह जाएगी. Section 27, taking favor. Section 27, just try to link this word 27, taking favor. Section 27, taking favor. Section 27, taking favor किसका? Section 27 is taking the favor of casual taxable person and non-resident taxable person. This section is taking the favor of casual taxable person and non-resident taxable person. Let's understand what do you mean by this CTP and NRTP. Casual taxable person means suppose I require GST number for a temporary amount of time. I am going to hold an exhibition at Tamil Nadu. In that case, I require the GSTN for 45 days. I am going to apply under casual taxable person. If I am a non-resident and I want to take the GST registration, in that case, I will take the GST registration as a non-resident taxable person. So how they are supposed to take the GST registration, what will be the maximum time for which the government is going to allot the GST registration, 90 days, further extended for 90 days. So these things are mentioned in section number 27. Section 27, taking favor. Section 27, taking favor. Casual taxable person, non-resident taxable person. Section 28 is very great. Section 28, just try to link word 28. Very great. Section 28, very great, because this section is providing us the opportunity of amendments. क्योंकि इंडिया है, गलतियां हमसे खूब सारी होती है, सो अमेंडमेंट्स इज रिक्वायर्ड और मल्टीपल चेंजेस आर देयर. फॉर दैट पर्पस आल्सो अमेंडमेंट्स आर रिक्वायर्ड. सो सेक्शन 28, very great. So this section is providing us the opportunity of amendment. This section is saying that if there will be any change in the director, in the partners, or in the principal place of business, in the additional place of business, in the bank account, in the HSN code, mobile number, mail ID, you can file the amendments application on the GSTN common portal. Section 28 is very great, providing the opportunity of amendments. Section 29, Section 29, denying. Just try to link the word 29, denying. Section 29, denying, that means denying your registration, that is cancellation of registration. Cancellation of registration. Whenever departmental authority is going to issue the order on account of cancellation of the registration, they will issue the notice. they will issue the notice under they will issue the order under section number 29 denying your registration, that is cancellation of registration. In case the business is involved in any fraudulent activities, in that case the notice or the order has been passed for the cancellation. Or if the person has not commenced the business activities within a specific amount of time, or if the person has not filed the return for a continuous period of a specific amount of time, in such a scenario the cancellation may be done, and the cancellation will be done through this section number 29. Deny, that means deny to your registration, that is cancellation of registration. Section 30, just try to link this word 30, is not very dirty, is not very dirty. Section 30 is not very dirty because this section is providing with the opportunity of revocation of cancellation of registration. Revocation of cancellation of registration. If departmental authority has passed the order for the cancellation of registration, in that case you may file an application for the revocation of cancellation within a specific time. Section 30 is not very dirty because this section is providing the opportunity for revocation of cancellation of registration. Whenever we file the application for the revocation, in that case we are not supposed to merely mention the fact, we'll mention the section, that under section number 30 we are eligible to file the revocation application. Recap: section number 1 is the commencement of counting, and under GST section number 1 is commencement of GST. Number 3 is perception of something bad, the authority who is going to correct the bad things, that is officers under GST. Section number 4 is for your, that is appointment. Section number 5 is very high, that means powers of the officers. Section number 6 authority fixed. Section number 7 as for supply. Section number 8, number 8 is a mixture of 00, that is mixed and composite supply. Section number 9 imposing fine charging section under GST. Section number 10 includes zero, that means zero eligibility to claim the input tax credit, that is composition scheme. Section number 11, E for exemption. So this section is related to exemptions under GST. Section number 12 is indication of time. So this section is related to time of supply, 12, 13 and 14. Section number 15, 1 plus 5 is equal to 6, value fixed. Section number 16, 16 आने सच ITC मिलेगी फटाफट. Section number 17, danger restriction on ITC. Section number 18, making happen. Section number 19, मैं करूंगा 21 काम, दूसरा करेगा 19 काम, work done by others, that is job worker. Section number 20, that is distribution of input tax credit by input service distributor. अगर excess distribute हो गई तो section number 21 is there for the debit and credit note. Section number 20 is to take the GST registration. So section number 22 is related to registrations under GST. Section number 23, free, no need to take the GST registration in case of agriculturalist or exclusively involved in the exempted product. Section number 24, sure, you need to take the GST registration. Section number 25, procedure defined. Section 26, fixed, registration fixed, deemed approval of registration. Section 27, taking favor, casual taxable person, non-resident taxable person. Section 28, great, providing the opportunity for the amendments in the registration. Section 29, denying, that is cancellation of registration. Section 30 is not very dirty because providing the opportunity for revocation of cancellation of registration. All the 30 sections are okay for everyone on this live platform, on YouTube live, on LinkedIn live. Yes, we are taking a break for 8 minutes. Okay, 6:30 will sharp start the session. We'll start the session sharp at 6:30. 6:23 is there. We'll start the session by 6:30. Tab tak, if you have any comment, you can put in the chat box. Chat box is there on YouTube as well as on the LinkedIn platform as well as on our live platform. So we'll meet or we'll start the session sharp at 6:30. 8 minutes break is there. 7 minutes break is there. Okay. And if you have any comment, put it in the chat box. Thank you, everyone. Yes, my voice is audible. Just confirm me once in the chat box. Yes, definitely we'll share one PDF file with all of you for the techniques. Okay, we'll share with you this working sheet as well. Also, I have authored one book completely based on chart. That means in that book we have covered the complete CGST Act, IGST Act, the memory techniques, and everything related to GST, the definitions and the specific exemption list in that particular book with charts. Okay, so we'll try to show that book as well in our tomorrow's session. Okay. So this is a physical book. So we'll try to show that book in our tomorrow session. We'll try. Also, GST portal is not enabled for interest and penalties. So 128A, the problem is that they are not able to generate, or there is certain technical issues related to the form SPL 0102 related issues. Okay. So most probably they have given the timeline that it will be resolved in January first week, but now still the same is not working properly. So you may raise one grievance before the GST and common portal. That is what is the solution I have also. And related to the timeline, section 16 subsection 4, if they are going to issue any notices on account of that regarding the bank attachment, try to provide the reference of section 16 subsection 4, 5 and 6, so that it will be very easy for you to provide the details. Okay, and also take note of that, because this specific section or this specific provision is applicable to whole of India. You can, whenever you will write a particular reply, then try to take the reference of our section number 1, commencement, extent, short and title, that each and every section is applicable whole of India including Jammu and Kashmir, because now we have the idea of sections. Yes, can we start our discussion on the next session? Are you ready? So let's start our discussion, and on this section number 31. Yes sir, section 31. Section 31, invoicing done. Section 31, invoicing done. So we just need to recall this particular section 31, invoicing done. Section 31, invoicing done. Section 31, invoicing done. In this particular section they have mentioned, that you have to issue the invoice in case of supply of goods or supply of services, and they have also given the specific timeline that before movement of goods or at the time of supply you need to issue the invoice. In case of services you need to take care of provision of service. So these type of things which is mentioned in this particular section, whenever we are going to discuss anything with our client related to implementation of GST, or we are suggesting our client or provide the consultancy related to implementation of GST, we just need to keep the reference of section number 31 in our mind. Section 31, invoicing done. Section 32, section 32, just try to link this word to with to collection of tax. Section 32, to collection of tax. That means the taxpayer has collected the tax which is not confirmed with the invoice. Suppose the invoice is for 1 lakh rupees and the taxpayer is going to collect the tax for 1,10,000 rupees. The taxpayer is going to collect the tax for 1,10,000 rupees. That is tax to collection of tax. Section 32, to collection of tax. Section 32, to collection of the tax. That means unauthorized collection of the tax by the taxpayer. Section 32, to collection of the tax. That means unauthorized collection of the tax with comparison to invoice. Section 33. Section 33. Just try to link this word 33 with mandatory. Section 33, mandatory. This section is going to specify the mandatory things which is required on the invoice. That means whenever you are prepare the invoice, you just need to show the GSTN of supplier and recipient, address of both these parties, taxable value, IGST, CGST, SGST, HSN code wise summary, discount if any. These type of things should be there. Tax invoice should be there at the top of the invoice. So these are the mandatory fields which is required. So whenever we are going to prepare the invoice format, or whenever we are suggesting our client regarding the invoicing, we need to keep this section in our mind. Section 33 mandatory, that is mandatory fields which is required of the invoice. Section 32 to collection of the tax, that means taxpayer has collected the excess tax. Section 31 invoicing done. Section 34, just look on the number 3 and 4. कुछ सेक्शंस हमारी कंप्लीटली बेस्ड ऑन नंबर टेक्निक्स है, मल्टीपल सेक्शंस आर बेस्ड ऑन नंबर टेक्निक्स एज वेल. कल के सेशन में 60% सेक्शंस विल बी बेस्ड ऑन नंबर टेक्निक्स. जस्ट लुक ऑन द सेक्शन 34. 3 and 4. 3 is on a lower side, 4 is on a higher side. Okay, so whenever we are going to issue the credit note under GST, we are going to reduce the outward supply, or whenever we are going to issue the debit note, at that time we are going to enhance the outward supply. So 3 is reduction, we are going to reduce the outward supply. 4 is related to enhancement. So this 3 is related to credit note and 4 is related to debit note. Whenever you will see number 3 and 4, 34, the first thing which should be there in our mind, 3 is credit, 4 is debit, that is credit and debit note under GST. So this section number 34 is related to credit and debit note. Okay, whenever the taxpayer wants to reduce the outward supply, credit note should be issued. Whenever the supplier wants to enhance the outward supply, the debit note should be issued. Okay, and the debit and credit note should always be issued by the supplier only, not by the recipient. Section 34, 3 is reduced and 4 is enhancement, that is credit and debit note under GST. Section 35, justify. Section 35, justify. Section 35, just try to interlink the word 35 with justify. Section 35, justify. Section 35, justify. This section is providing that these are the documents which is justified under GST. So this section is related to required documents under GST. Section 35, justify, that means these are the documents which is justified under GST. You need to maintain the income ledger, expenditure ledger, cash book, journal ledger, the fixed assets ledger, the creditors ledger, debtors ledger. So these are the debtors, or these are the ledgers which is required to be maintained. So you can say section 35, justify. These are the documents which is justified under GST. Section 35, justify. These are the justified records which should be maintained under GST. Section 36, just try to link this word 6 or this number 6, 6-year retention. That means under GST, all the documents, all the books of accounts, the taxpayer should retain for 6 years. Taxpayer should retain for 6 years. So this section number 36 is related to retention of books of accounts. This section is related to retention of the books of accounts. Section 36, just try to link this number 6 with 6 years. You need to retain the documents for 6 years under GST. So retention of the books of accounts under GST. Section 31, invoicing done. Section 32, to collection of the taxes. Section 33, mandatory fields on the invoicing. Section 34, 3 is credit, 4 is debit, that is credit debit note under GST. Section 35, justify. These are the documents which is justified under GST. Section 36, 6-year retention of the books of accounts. Section 37. Sir, when the GST was introduced, at that time the due date to file the GSTR 1 return was 10th of subsequent month. Am I right? when the GST was introduced, at that time the due date to file the GSTR1 return was 10th. Now 11th is there. Okay. For recalling certain sections or for memorizing certain sections, just assume the due date of GSTR1 is 10th. Is that okay? Are you able to assume? Earlier the due date was 10th, now 11th. Okay. So for memorizing certain section, just assume that the due date to file the GSTR1 return is 10th of the subsequent month. And in our GSTR1 return, we are going to show the outward supply. So memory technique is section 37. 3 plus 7 is the 10, and 10 was the due date to file the GSTR1 return, and under GSTR1 return we are showing the outward supply. So section 37 is related to outward supply under GST. Outward supply under GST. What type of supply we are showing in our GSTR1 return, whether B2B, B2CS, credit note, debit note, export, exempted, all these things are coming with reference to this section number 37. 3 plus 7 is equal to 10, and 10 was the due date to file the GSTR1 return, and under GSTR1 return we are showing the outward supply. So this section number 37 is related to outward supply. Section 38. Section 38, just try to link this word 38, fake. Section 38, fake. So this section is related to conditions to reduce fake ITC. Reduce fake ITC. Section 38, fake. So this section is related to conditions to reduce the fake ITC. In this particular section, government has specified that if you are claiming the input tax credit based on GSTR 2B only, then also you need to check that if the taxpayer is newly registered. If the supplier is newly registered, in that case for a specific amount of time you will not be eligible to claim the input tax credit. Or for claiming the input tax credit, the supplier has paid the taxes to government. You have also filed the return. There will be no any difference between the sales which has been declared by the supplier in 3B or 1. Otherwise, you will not be eligible to claim the input tax credit. Because कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं है उसने 1 में liability declare कर दी, input आपके यहाँ show हो गई, but the person has not paid the taxes in GSTR 3B. That will be a situation or scenario, probable scenario. So in this particular section, government has specified multiple conditions to reduce the fake ITC. So we can say section 38, fake, conditions to reduce the fake ITC. Section 39, payment defined. Section 39, THIRTY, 39, payment defined. Section 39, payment defined, and as we all know, we are paying the taxes under GST through GSTR 3B. Am I right? If I am a regular taxable person, I am paying the taxes through GSTR 3B. I am a composition scheme. In that case, I need to pay the taxes through CMP 08. I am a TDS TCS deductor. Then also I need to file the return and I need to pay the taxes. If I am going to deduct the input tax credit, if I am going to distribute the input tax credit as an input service distributor, then also I need to file the return and transfer the input tax credit. So this section 39, payment defined, this section is talking about various returns through which we are paying the taxes. Basically you can say GSTR 3B. So whenever we are filing the GSTR 3B, CMP 08, we are paying the taxes as a TDS TCS deductor. Then we are doing the same with the reference of section 39. हमको बेसिक्स पता है, प्रैक्टिकल पता है, बट हमको ये पता नहीं है चीजें हम कौन सी सेक्शन के रेफरेंस से कर रहे हैं. Hence this session is here. Section 39, payment defined. Section 40. Just look on the number 4040. Just look on the number 4040. I just want to share with you one example, and after the explanation of that example, I am going to share with you the memory technique for this section number 40. 4040. Okay. Now, sir, my turnover crosses the limit to take the GST registration on 20th April. Okay. I had applied for the GST registration on 24th of April, and GST authority has approved my application on 15th of May 2024. अब ऐसा तो है नहीं, from the period of 20th April till 15th of May I am not going to make a sales of single rupee. During this period I am also going to make certain sales, okay, but I am not able to report that particular sales because I am not able to file that return for that specific period because I have not registered. So government is saying that Mr. Sachin, when you have made the sales during this specific period, that is from 20th April till 15th of May, whatever will be the sales which you have made, you can report it in your first return. Whenever you will file the first return after getting the registration, then you need to show this specific type of sales. Then the memory technique is, just look on the number 4040. My sales was 4, but I have reported 0. Why? Because I was not able to file the GST return. Hence this section 40 is related to first return. When you will file the first return, report the sales in your first return with the back date. Section 40, 4040, 4 was my sales, but I have reported 0 because I was not able to do so. So section 40 is related to first return. मजा आ रहा है sir? Section 44, my sales, I have reported only 0. So section 40 is related to first return. Whenever you will file your first return, report it. Section 41. Section 41. ITC claim done. Section 41 ITC claim done. This section is saying that you can claim the input tax credit by filing the GSTR 3B return. Also, if you will not make the payment to the supplier within 180 days, then you need to reverse the input tax credit. That is what is the provision which is mentioned in this section number 41. 41 input tax credit claim done. Section 41 ITC claim done. Section 42, 43 has been removed by the government, so not in effect. Section 42, 43. So हम लोग नहीं पढ़ेंगे. Why government has removed these sections? हर चीज का लॉजिक पता होना चाहिए. Because when the government has introduced this GST mechanism, at that time they have come up with the GSTR1, GSTR2, GSTR3, and various matching and mismatching. But now this concept is not there. GSTR2 and 3 is not there, hence because these sections was completely related to return 2 and 3. So 42, 43 removed. Section 44. अभी अभी हम सब लोगों ने इस सेक्शन पे काम किया है. We all have done the work on this specific section. Section 44. Sir, just assume this 4 is my books. This 4 is my GST record. Or whenever we are filing our GST annual return, GSTR 9, at that time our purpose is to equalize the sales and purchase as per my books of accounts with my GST records. My purpose is to equalize the sales as per my books of accounts with my GST records. So this section number 44, 4 is my books, 4 is my GST report, both are equalized in case of annual return. So this section number 44 is related to annual return. If your turnover crosses the specified limit, in such a scenario you need to file the annual return, mandatorily required. So the annual return which we are filing on the GSTM common portal is coming through this section number 44. All the relevant particulars are also coming through this specific section. And the memory techniques is 4 is books, 4 is GST records. Both are equalized in case of annual return. So this section is specifically related to annual return. Section 45. Sir, just try to look. 4 plus 5 is equal to 9. 4 plus 5 is equal to 9. Just add 1 from my side. Just add 1 from my side, that is 10. And as we all know, under GST, GSTR 10 is related to, sir, comment in the chat box, GSTR 10 is related to 4 plus 5 is equal to 9. Just add 1 from my side, that is 10. And GSTR 10 under GST is related to Request everyone to put in the chat box. Four plus five is equal to 9. Just add 1 from my side, that is final return. So this section number 45 is related to final return only. This section number 45 is related to final return only. 4 plus 5 is equal to 9. Just add 1 from my side, that is 10, and 10 is the GSTR 10 is the related to final return. So this section is related to final return, and this section is saying that after cancellation of order, you need to file the final return. You need to show your all your liabilities and everything in this particular return. Section number 46. Sir, 4 plus 6 is equal to 10. And when we have covered the section number 37, 3 plus 7, 37, that is 10. 3 plus 7 is equal to 10. 10 is the due date to file the GSTR 1 return. So this section is related to outward supply. Now, section number 47, 4 plus 6 is equal to 10. And as we all know that 10 was the due date to file the GSTR 1 return. And this section is saying if you will not file your return by 10, in that case departmental authority may issue the notice for delay in filing the return. Okay, when you will check the GST and common portal, multiple time we found certain notices on that portal, and on that portal we found that you have not filed your return. हम खाली वो देखते हैं, हम अपना रिटर्न फाइल कर लेते हैं, हमने कभी ध्यान नहीं दिया no notice has been issued under section number 46, because 4 plus 6 is equal to 10, and 10 was the due date to file the GSTR 1 return. And if you will not file the return by 10, in that case departmental authority may issue the notice for delay in filing the return. Departmental authority may issue the notice for delay in filing the return. सो सर मैंने जीएसटीआर 10 के बारे में बोला था, मैंने सेक्शन 10 के बारे में नहीं बोला था. ऑब्वियसली सेक्शन 10 इंक्लूड्स जीरो, सो दैट सेक्शन इज रिलेटेड टू कंपोजिशन स्कीम, बट 4 plus 6 is equal to 10. 10 is GSTR 10, that is final return, and 4 plus 6 is equal to 10. 10 was the due date to file the GSTR 1 return, and if you will not file the return by due date, in that case departmental authority may issue the notice for delay in filing the return. 45 was related to final return. 4 plus 5 is equal to 9. Just add 1 from my side, that is final return. And 46, 4 plus 6 is equal to 10, and if you will not file the return by 10, in that case late fees, in that case notice may be issued. Section number 47, 4 plus 7 is equal to 11. Sir, as we all know, the due date to file the GSTR 1 return is 10. Assume, okay, assumption जो पहले थी मैं आज उसको मान रहा हूं. The due date to file the GSTR 1 return was 10, and if you will file the return by 11, in that case late fees will be there. Am I right? If you will file the return by 11, in that case late fees will be there. So this section is related to late fees on account of delay in filing the return. This section is related to late fees on account of delay in filing the return. Section 45, 4 plus 5 is equal to 9. Just add 1 from my side, 10. Under GST, GSTR 10 is related to final return. So this section is related to final return. 46, 4 plus 6 is equal to 10. 10 was the due date to file the GSTR 1 return, but if you will not file the return by 10, in such a scenario departmental authority may issue the notice for delay in filing. So this section number 46 is related to delay in filing the return. Section number 47, 4 plus 7 is equal to 10. 11, 10 was the due date to file the return, but if you will not file the return, and if you will file the return by 11, in such a scenario late fees will be imposed. So this section number 47 is related to late fees on account of delay in filing the return. Section 48 is not relevant, so I am not going to discuss, okay, and I am not going to provide you the memory technique, because this section is related to the GST practitioners and the examination thereof. So this is no practical relevance of this section. So I am not supposed to discuss this specific section, skip कर देते हैं. Section 49, Section 49 payment mechanism define. Section 49 payment mechanism define. This section is going to define the payment mechanism. That means if you have a particular liability on GST and common portal, you can adjust it through the credit ledger, you can adjust it through the cash ledger, and if during a particular month, if your turnover crosses the limit of 50 lakh rupees, in that case you need to deposit 1% of total tax liability in cash. Also, they have given a mechanism that your IGST liability should be first set off through the IGST credit, then CGST credit, then SGST credit. Your CGST liability should be first set off from IGST credit, then CGST. Your SGST liability should be first set off from IGST, then SGST. So this mechanism is also given in section number 49. Hence, the memory technique for recalling this section is section 49 payment mechanism defined. Section 50. Section 50. Sir, just look on the number 50. Just look on the number 50. Suppose the tax liability was for 5. Suppose the tax liability was for 5. But the taxpayer has paid only 0. Now, whenever the taxpayer is going to pay the tax liability, at that time taxpayer has to make the payment with interest. Suppose the tax liability was for 5, taxpayer has paid 0. Now, whenever the taxpayer is going to make the payment of the tax liability, taxpayer has to make the payment with interest. So this section is related to applicability of interest under GST. If the delay in payment is not due to any fraud, willful misstatement, suppression of fact, in such a scenario rate of interest is 18%. If involvement of fraud, in such a scenario rate of interest will be 24% per annum. Okay, section 55 was the liability, taxpayer has paid only 0. So whenever the person is going to make the payment, interest will be there. So section number 50 is related to liability with interest. So this section is related to interest under GST. Section 51. Sir, just look on the number 51. आपको नहीं लगता ये शगुन का अमाउंट है? Number 51 is a shagun. Whenever we need to give something to someone, we are prefer to give 51, 151, 251, 551, 1051. So this is a shagun, we can say. This 51 is the number of shagun. This 51 is the number of shagun, and whenever we are receiving from the government, whenever we are receiving something from the government, that is also not less than shagun, because government se kuch bhi lena, it's a very difficult task. So when we are getting something from the government, it is also not less than shagun. So amount received from the government, or whenever we are receiving something from the government under GST, definitely if the contract value is exceeds 2,50,000 rupees, government is going to deduct the TDS. So this section number 51 is related to TDS deduction on account of payment made by the governmental agency, governmental entity, governmental authority. कितना घुमाया इस सेक्शन को, है ना? Section 51 is a shagun. So when we are receiving something from the government, that is also not less than shagun, and government is also going to deduct the TDS. So if the governmental agency, authority or entity is going to make the payment, they are supposed to deduct the TDS, and the same is mentioned in section number 51, shagun. So याद रखना सर, section number 51 shagun, section number 101 जब हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे, that section will also be based on your shagun only. मजा आया सर शगुन? सबको शगुन 51? सेक्शन 52. सेक्शन 52 TCS collection due. Section 52 TCS collection due. 51 is related to TDS, 52 is related to TCS. Section 52 TCS collection due. Section 52 TCS collection is due. This section is talking about the TCS collection in case of e-commerce operator. Section 52 TCS collection due. Section 52 TCS collection due. This section is saying whenever the e-commerce operator is going to make any payment, at that time that e-commerce operator is going to collect the TCS as well. In case of online, वो जो प्लेटफॉर्म के थ्रू जब भी वो सेल करेगा तो वो TCS भी कलेक्ट कर लेगा. So section 52 TCS collection due. Up whenever you are handle your day-to-day cases, and if you will face any specific issue, specific problem, in that case definitely these memory techniques will come in your mind, that how we can analyze the scenario. Okay, section 53, just 10 से 15 minute or then we'll conclude our today's session, so stay connected so that we can cover the content as based on the target. Okay, section 53. Section 53. Sir, whenever you will see the number 53, your 5 is IGST, higher side, your CGST. That means, suppose there is a liability, suppose there is a credit under IGST head. Suppose there is a credit under IGST head, and we all know that for set off the liability of CGST we can use the IGST liability. और जब उस central GST की liability को set off करने के लिए I am using the IGST credit, at that time I need to reduce that IGST. That means I need to transfer the amount from IGST to central GST. That means 5 to 3. That complete mechanism is governed through section number 53, transfer of input tax credit. So this section is related to transfer of input tax credit from IGST to CGST. So whenever we'll see the number 5 and 3, just one thing should be there in our mind. 5 is IGST, 3 is CGST, and transfer of input tax credit. So this section number 53 is related to transfer of input tax credit from IGST to CGST. Next section, very interesting section and one of the very memorable section for me, because when I have taken the first batch on this memory technique, at that time one of my participant has given me the feedback at the end of the session with this section only, because the memory technique for this section, section 54, dil mange more. Section 54, dil mange mo. This section is related to refunds under GST. Whenever we are filing the refund application before the departmental authority, section 54, dil mange more. Section 54, dil mange more. Whenever we are filing the refund application before the departmental authority, one thing is always there in our mind. यार मैंने 5 लाख का रिफंड लगाया, काश मैं 6 लाख का लगा देता, काश मैं 7 लाख का लगा देता. Dil mange more. So this section is related to refunds under GST. Section 54, dil mange more, that is refunds under GST. In that case, you may file the refund for the accumulated balance of input tax credit. Sir, when there will be a balance of accumulated input tax credit? When export without payment of tax, in case of zero rated supply, in case of inverted duty structure. What do you mean by inverted duty structure? When the rate of GST on the outward supply is less than the rate of GST which is applicable on the inward supply, in that case there will be accumulation of input tax credit. Basically these are the scenario when there will be accumulation of input tax credit and you will be eligible to file a refund application. Section 54, dil mange more, that is refunds under GST. Section 55, Section 55, double five. Sir, Section 55, double five means something special. Refund in case of specialized agencies and unilateral financial organization. Section 55, double five, that is something special. Section 55. Double five, that is something special, that means refund in case of specialized agency and unilateral financial organization. The complete proceedings related to the refund in case of specialized agency is given in this specific section, section 55. Double five, that is something special, that means refund in case of specialized agencies. Section 56. Sir, my refund was due on 5th. Just look on the number. My refund was due on 5th, but government has paid me the refund on 6th. My refund was due on 5th, but government has paid me the refund on 6th. That means delay in paying the refund. In that case, government will pay the refund with interest. So this section is related to the interest on account of delay in granting the refund. My refund was due on 5th, but government has paid me the refund on 6th. In that case, whenever the government will pay the refund to me, government will pay the interest as well, and the rate of interest will be 6%. जब मुझे गवर्नमेंट को कुछ देना है, rate of interest will be 18%. When I am receiving something from government, rate of GST is rate of interest is 6%. But if that refund is due to any judgment, decree, court order, in that case the rate of interest will be 9%. So the memory technique is the refund was due on 5th, but I have received the refund on 6th. That means delay in refund. So in that case, interest will also be there. So this section number 56 is related to interest on account of delay in refund. This webinar is available on YouTube as well. You just need to check the YouTube platform of Connect Easy. You can easily go through with the webinar. But I request join the live session because we all are here for the live only. Recording is definitely available. Section 57 and 58 is not so relevant, or I can say not relevant, because these are only theoretical sections not used in practical scenario. But I am giving you the memory technique so that you can refer in future as well. Section 57 and 58 is related to consumer welfare fund. Section 57 and 58 is related to consumer welfare fund. Whenever we are filing the refund application, then once the amount should be transferred to the consumer welfare fund, then the same will be transferred to the investor protection fund, and multiple things are there. Okay, this is completely an internal procedure, not at all useful for us. Okay, but we should have the idea. So section number 57 is giving you the definition of consumer welfare fund. So you can say consumer welfare fund, section 57, the memory technique is 57 consumers heaven. कंज्यूमर्स हेवन, बिकॉज कंज्यूमर के लिए सेट किया हुआ फंड है, तो ये कंज्यूमर्स के लिए स्वर्ग से कम नहीं है. सो सेक्शन 57 कंज्यूमर्स हेवन. सो दिस सेक्शन इज रिलेटेड टू द कंज्यूमर वेलफेयर फंड, and section 58 is going to provide the complete procedure that how the amount is to be transferred to consumer welfare fund, वहां से वो investor protection fund में कैसे जाता है, या फिर जो टैक्स पेयर है उसके अकाउंट में कैसे जाता है. So section 58 procedure set, or you can say consumer welfare fund set, but practically कोई रिलेवेंस नहीं है. सेक्शन 57 कंज्यूमर्स हेवन, सेक्शन 58 कंज्यूमर वेलफेयर फंड सेट, सेक्शन 58 कंज्यूमर वेलफेयर फंड सेट. Two more sections, then after we'll go for the recap. Section 59, section 59 assessment defined, section 59 assessment defined. Section 59 assessment defined. This section is related to the self assessment. This section is saying when the taxable person is going to file the GSTR 3B return, CMP 08 return, or that person is going to file the return of input service distributor, or related to the TDS TCS deduction, at that time that person is determining the liability, because this is completely based on me. I can declare a sales of 10,000 in my GSTR 3B, 10 crore in my GSTR 3B. That is self-assessment. So section 59 is related to assessment defined, that is self-assessment. Section 59 assessment defined, that is self-assessment. Section 60, very interesting. First, I just want to share with you one story, and then after we'll discuss the memory technique of this section number 60. Section 60. Sir, suppose there is a specific scenario. Suppose there is a specific scenario. In a particular month, I have made a specific supply and I am not able to decide the rate and value of that specific supply. मैं उस supply का rate और value decide नहीं कर पा रहा. In that case, I have one option. I can file an application before the departmental authority that, sir, I am not able to decide the rate and value of supply. Can you please help me out? So in that case, departmental authority बोलेगा, Mr. Sachin, yes, we can help you. But the point is that अभी हमारे पास भी time कम है, because you are filing an application, then we need to decide the thing immediately. So we'll provisionally decide your liability, provisionally decide your rate and value of supply. After provisional determination, you can make the payment of taxes to us. And then after a significant amount of time, we'll go for your final assessment based on the fact which you will submit to us. And based on your final submission, will determine your final assessment. So in this situation, I am as a taxpayer not able to decide the rate and value of supply, and I am approaching to the departmental authority. So departmental authority बोलेगा, we are providing the details related to rate and value of supply. Mr. Sachin is not able to decide the rate and value of supply. So this will be a victory for the departmental authority. So this section is related to section 60, departmental victory. Section 60, departmental victory. That is provisional assessment. When the taxpayer is not able to decide the rate and value of a specific supply, the taxpayer can go for the provisional assessment. And in that situation, the taxpayer is going to file an application before the departmental authority for the provisional assessment, and departmental authority is going to decide the rate and value of supply. We can say that will be the departmental victory. Section 60, departmental victory. Sir, can we go for a recap of 60 seconds sections in 6 minutes? Are you ready for that recap? Section 60, departmental victory, provisional assessment. Sir, I want to show your Josh in the chat box that yes, we have learned something in our today's session, and we are going to recap all the things which we have learned in our today's session. I request everyone, please active for 5 minutes. Section number one is the commencement of counting, and under GST section number 1 is related to commencement of GST. So the GST will be applicable whole of India including Jammu and Kashmir. Section number 3, perception is there that number 3 is an indication of something bad, and the authority who is going to correct the bad things will be the authorities under GST. That means officers under GST, deputy commissioner, additional commissioner, joint commissioner, commissioner, principal chief commissioner, all these type of officers are there. Section number 4 is for that is appointment of the officers. Section number 5 is very high, that means powers of the officers. Section number 6, authority fix. Section number 7, S for supply includes sale, exchange, barter, transfer, lease, rental, disposal or agreed to be disposal in the course or furtherance of business for a consideration. And we have also covered the schedule number 1, schedule number 2, schedule number 3. Section number 8 is a mixture of 00. So this section is related to mixed and composite supply. Section number 9, imposing fine, that is charging section under GST. Section number 10 includes 0, that means 0 eligibility to claim the input tax credit, that is composition scheme. Section number 11, E for exemption. Through notification, government has power, but the same power is coming through the section number 11. Section number 12 is indication of time, 12 baj gaye. So this section is related to time of supply. 12, 13 and 14 in case of supply of goods, supply of services, change in rate of tax. In case of goods, under forward charge, under reverse charge mechanism. Section number 15, 1 plus 5 is equal to 6, that is value fix. Value fixed, that means the transaction value will be the taxable value if the buyer and supplier are not the related party and price is the sole consideration. All the other essential part will be the addition to the transaction value. Section number 16, 16 आने सच तभी मिलेगी ITC फटाफट. Section number 17, 17 is something danger, that means restrictions to claim the input tax credit, blocked credit. Section number 18, making happen, that is credit in special circumstances. Section number 19, मैं कोई काम करूंगा 21 करूंगा दूसरा कोई करेगा 19 करेगा, that means work done by others, that is job worker. Section number 20, distribution of input tax credit by the input service distributor. If excess distributed, then the same can be reversed by the debit note. Section number 21. Section 22, just focus on the word 20. 20 is the limit to take the GST registration. So this section number 22 is registrations under GST. Section number 23, free, no need to take the GST registration. Section number 24, sure, yes, you need to take the GST registration. Section number 25, procedure defined for the registration. Section 26, fix, deemed approval of your registration. Section 27, taking favor, casual taxable person and non-resident taxable person. Section 28, great, that means providing the opportunity for amendments of the registration particular. Section 29, deny, that means deny for your registration, cancellation of registration. Section 30 is not very dirty, that is revocation of cancellation of registration. Section 31, invoicing, done. Section 32, to collection of the tax, that means unauthorized collection of the tax. Section 33, mandatory fields on the invoicing. Section 34, 3, reduction, 4, enhancement, that is credit and debit note under GST. Section 35, justify, records which are justified under GST. Section 36, 6-year retention books of accounts, that is retention of the books of accounts for the 6 year from the due date to file the GSTR 9 return for the relevant financial year. Section 37, 3 plus 7 is equal to 10. 10 was the due date to file the GSTR 1 return. Under GSTR 1 return, taxpayer is showing the outward supply. So this section number 37 is related to outward supply. Section 38, fake, to reduce the fake input tax credit. Section 39, payment defined, that is GSTR 3B or CMP 08. Section 40, 4040, 4 was my liability, I have reported only 0, so reported in first return. So section 40 is related to first return. Section 41, ITC claim, done. Section 42, 43 removed by the government. Section 44, first 4 is my books, another 4 is GST. So both are equalized in case of annual return. So section 44 is related to annual return under GST. Section 45, 4 plus 5 is equal to 9. Add 1 from my side, that is 10 under GST. The GSTR 10 is related to final return. So section number 45 is related to final return under GST. Section number 46, 4 plus 6 is equal to 10. 10 was the due date to file the return, and if the taxpayer has not filed the return by 10, in that case, the notice for the delay in filing the return should be there under section 46. 47, 4 plus 7 is equal to 11. If the taxpayer has not filed the return by 10 or taxpayer is going to file the return by 11, in such a scenario late fees will be there. Section 48 not relevant because related to the GST practitioners. Section 49, payment mechanism defined. Section 50, the liability to pay the taxes was 5 but paid only 0. In that case, interest will be there. Section 51, number 51 is something like shagun, and when government is going to pay something to us, that will also be not less than shagun. In that case, TDS will also be deducted. So section 51 is related to TDS deduction. Section 52, TCS collection due. Section 53, 5 is my IGST, 3 is my CGST, transfer of input tax credit. Section 54, dil mange more, that is refunds under GST. Section 55, 55, that is special, so refund in case of specialized agencies. Section 56, refund milna tha 5 ko, I was eligible to get the refund on 5th, but I have received on 6th. In such a scenario, interest will also be there. So this section number 56 is related to interest on account of delay in getting the refund. Section number 57, consumers haven. Section 57, consumer welfare fund set. Section 59, section 59, assessment defined, that is self assessment. और section 60 को हम सब साथ में मिलकर के बोलेंगे section 60, departmental victory. Yes sir. All the 60 sections are okay for everyone. From last 2 hours and 20 minutes I am speaking, so now it's your turn. Whatever will be your feedback for our today's session, I request everyone to put the same in the chat box. Chat box is here. For next 2 minutes, you have a time to put your chat box, put your comments, put your feedback, put your suggestion for our today's day one memory technique course. And chat box is here, and I'm expecting the comment or feedback from each and everyone. कोई भी ऐसा नहीं हो जो कमेंट नहीं लिखे, आपको नहीं अच्छा लगा, राइट इट. Whatever will be your comment feedbacks, I just request from your side for next 2 minutes, and then after I will request Virag bhai to proceed further. But for 2 minutes, I request everyone for your valuable feedback and any question. Yes, definitely I will take.
I can see many comments and many appreciation. Superb. Thanks a lot for mesmerizing session with the provision section with the provision, and there are many others as well. Easy to memorize. Sir, class is very good. Enjoy session and good confidence, and section easily remember. Easy to remember. Thank you for the valuable session. Very nice. I think Mansi ma'am has also put a wonderful session. Really looking forward for
Thank you.
tomorrow's session. Ma'am, you can speak also. You are already on screen. You don't have to write. So, but yes, there are so many. If anybody has not put any comment or anything in the question tab, what Sachin sir has asked, you can still post. We have 2-3 minutes more, and after that, we can request Mansi ma'am for vote of thanks as well for our today's session. Yes, so there are keep coming. There are many few others comment also we received from Ayush ji. Session was very good. Radhika ji, thank you for the valuable session. Sanket ji, very nice session. Vimal ji, easy to memorize. And I mean, there are so many. I cannot read each and every one, but yes, and there are many others also received. Arunji, wonderful deliberation, and Manmohan Singh Thakurji as well, superb session, very nice session. Thank you, Rajuji. Yes. So friends would like to request it's open and free for all. You can also tell all your friends, colleagues, teammates, or other connects also who are into our profession, who are into dealing in GST. GST scope is increasing day by day. It will again increase more and more. GST collection every month is increasing because of scope is increasing. There are tribunal also now will be in place in few months we can say. So again, litigation will be increased, and opportunity for professional will arise. More and more opportunity. So you can tell your friends to join for tomorrow's session. Today's session also they can watch on YouTube on Connect Easy YouTube channel as well. It's already there, and we'll share the some material as well from the Sachin ji, who is the author as well. That's why we are calling him as an authority on GST. He has written a multiple book as well on GST, handwritten book. Like he has a entire made this session as an handwritten. Similar way, he has written handwritten book as well, and his book is always on very much high demand from the professional students, practitioners, tax practitioners, chartered accountant, cost accountant, everyone who is into GST. So, Sachin, would you like to say about your book as well, sir? How they
So
can still
recently, actually, we have launched one book. We'll show the book as well in our tomorrow session. So
perfect,
we'll discuss on that book in our tomorrow session itself.
perfect, perfect. So we have received many comments as well. So I think we can, Sachin bhai, you can share your number as well, so people can message you and can connect with you as well. And
Yes,
tomorrow we'll
yes,
meet sharp at 5 o'clock. Tomorrow session is
yes.
also on time. 5 o'clock will start. Would like to request everyone to join on time so that we can conclude the session also on time. So Sachin ji, please share your number with everyone. Then we'll request
Already
Mansi ma'am.
shared. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Shared in the chat box. You can take from the chat box itself.
But you can speak also so that who is not on GoToWebinar, who is watching on YouTube and
Okay.
LinkedIn, they
Eight
can
triple
also
zero
take the
seven
slot.
two. You can check it. Just give me a single second.
Yeah,
Number is
perfect.
there on the screen. Number is there on the screen.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, thank you. So over to you, Mansi ma'am, for our today's session. Vote of thanks to you.
So, Sachin ji, I have heard you for the first time, but the way you have conceptualized this memorizing of the sections is really wonderful and unique, which I have not seen, very frequently. We always discuss the provisions and laws in GST, but this is other way around. So what happens is, what I have observed is that we know that there is certain provision, but then we again try and find on Google or some other search engine as to where what section includes this provision. So this is a very unique way of memorizing things in GST, and that is what intrigued me to, attend the session, because provisions we might know, but section and provision correlation is very unique. So thank you for, giving us such a wonderful insights on how it has to be done. And I'm looking, in fact, all of us are looking forward for tomorrow's session. So yes,
Yes, yes.
thank you.
Yes,
Thanks
Thank you.
from
yes.
all
Thank
of
you.
us.
Thank you. And thank you, Sachin Bhai. With this, we are concluding our today's session almost on time or before 2 3 minutes because we have started also on time. So similar way, we'll start tomorrow's session also on time. The link will be valid for tomorrow as well. The same link. You can also invite all your colleague, friends, professional colleague for our tomorrow's session as well. Thank you all. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mansi
Thank
ma'am,
you.
Sachin sir, for the
Thank you.
Thank
wonderful
you.
session as always.